Okay. Alright guys. I am lead meteorologist John Choquette here. This is the moment you guys all have been waiting for. I know we've been lagging a little bit. I have my phone up here with the video stream. So I'm going to honestly kind of just wait a tiny second to see if the video ends up being super laggy or not. So before we get going, I don't want this thing to be like lagging like crazy for the big video that we're doing here. So if I have to take a second to try to figure it out, I will, but I think hopefully we should be able to push forward here in a little bit. So just sit tight for a minute. Again, put in the comment section if you can see me. Is it lagging a ton? I'm trying to move around a little bit and I see a little bit of delay on my end. So I think something's going on right now with the computer. So just going to, again, let's take a little second here to see what the delay of being caused is. We are, those of you guys who have not been watching us for the past, I don't know, a week and a half or so, I've been doing a video every single day here at noon Central Time here on our Hailtrace page. We've also been on Periscope, we've been on YouTube, and we've of course been here on Facebook and on our website in the Live Weather Center. Boy, oh boy, yeah, I'm lagging a little bit here, guys. All right, so we're gonna pretty much see what happens with this, and we have quite a bit of people watching here. I know this is a big deal. If this ends up being super laggy and kind of a jumpy mess, I will record this and post a clean video of this exact forecast immediately afterwards. Again, this is assuming things don't kind of work themselves out a little bit. Again, this is the first real big test of this live streaming system that we got going on here. We have quite a few people watching. I see 53 on Facebook at least, and I have no idea how many are on Periscope at the same time or on our website as well. So anybody laggy video, but audio is fine. All right, thanks, Chris Round. I think I might just push forward with that then. There isn't a whole lot of animations. It'll just be me honestly moving around a little bit on here. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. We're going into the 2018 hail forecast. First things first, mainly because Derek wanted me to do it. A little bit about ourselves and our forecasting clout. I know you guys have watched, probably, if you're watching us, you've probably seen our hail forecasts in the past. And the Hailtrace team, myself and Derek, we competed in this thing called the Weather Challenge a couple years back. It's a thing I did during college. I was actually required to do it in college for a competition. For one of my classes. It's basically a bunch of meteorologists, weather students, guys on TV, professors. They all do this thing where you forecast for one city for 10 days, so 2 5-day periods in a 2-week period, and you basically guess the high temperature, low temperature, the wind, and the amount of precipitation for that location every single day. And they change cities, so you're going across the whole country and you're doing different types of things for a few months. I finished 14th, it was pretty good. Derek, who a lot of you guys think Derek's a weatherman, he is not. He's just a weather enthusiast, and he finished 23rd. He was actually first place in Abilene, Texas for a little while, and this one in the whole nation, and with the a pretty impressive number of participants. So we did pretty good. We have combined between myself, Frank, Derek, and Heather. Well, we've probably done over 30,000 storms worth, a lot of hours, a lot of late nights. You guys know the drill. Again, if you're our clients, you know that we are up very late at night doing these storms a lot of the times. And we managed to do this 2017 hail forecast correctly, and I'll actually show you that in a second. And again, I'll wind this down a little bit. Yeah, we're nerds. That's just what it is. But it takes the nerds here to help you guys profit off of all of these events. So a review of 2017. How did the year go? More or less, 2017 ended up with 8,590 hail reports, which puts us as the 3rd busiest hail season overall since we've kept our records, only behind 2011 and 2012. 2011 was the gold standard, pretty much. The day, May 27th, 2017, was the busiest individual hail day of the year. It was 304 hail reports. It was actually the first time we've had over 300 hail reports in one single day since, I want to say 2012. I believe it was 2012. Denver had the most damaging hailstorm in Colorado history, and it was actually our #1 storm of the year. If you guys have been keeping track of our top 10 countdown, that was our #1 yesterday. And you already know, $2.2 billion in damage. And there were also quite a few other really big storms that year. Again, go through our video archives and you can see the rest of the top 10 list. And the big thing that I took away from 2017 was there were a few major setups, especially in the southeast. And they ended up being fairly underwhelming. I know a lot of you guys who might pay attention in the southeast. There were quite a few high-risk days, and almost none of them really came up to what they were hyped up to be. And that was mainly because of a subtropical jet stream, which just pumped tons of moisture and made it so it was very wet and wasn't very good for making lots of hail. So now we just look at the pure numbers of 2017. It is, I know, a lot of numbers, kind of scary. It's okay. We're just going to go through this real quick. Give basically the total. The big thing to take away is the little stars here in February. We had 446 hail reports in the month of February, which is by far the record. We had 272, which was by far the record for the most in a day. To put it in perspective, the #2 February on record was about 190 something hail reports. So just February 28th alone would have completely shattered the record for February, and that was the real jump start to our year. And we kind of came out roaring, where you had a ton of hail on the 28th, and into March, that first week of March, we had a ton of hail reports, and even going in the first couple weeks, 212 hail reports on March 9th. And then the story continued into April, and then May we almost hit 2,000 hail reports, and then June it really started to die off after, I think that's after about June 15th, really, honestly. The thing kind of fell off and things got real quiet and things were very dead September, October, November, and December. But again, we had two very major hurricanes, so that kind of offset for a lot of you guys. I know a lot of you guys worked Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma, so that kind of, you know, usually when there's a busy hurricane season, the hail dies off. Now the record year, that was 2011 with 12,450. We're probably not going to hit those lofty numbers again in a very long time. But 2012, I think, is within striking distance of another active year. 2008 is the #3 year that we had dethroned. Now, more with just the numbers. This is the last of just graphics and numbers, I swear. We had, again, 300 plus hail days. We had one this year in 2017. We had none in 2016. We had 6 200 plus days in 2017, doubling what we had in 2016. We doubled what we had for 150 hail report days plus, with 11 compared to 5, and I was kind of hoping that we would get to double 2016 for 100 plus days, but we didn't quite make it. 22 versus 14. Number of 5-star maps we had 13. We did 21 4-star maps and 77 3-star maps. Unfortunately, I was unable to gather what we had for 2016, but I know it's more than what we did in 2016. For those of you guys that have come to our office, we have this board of the map of the United States. We put little pins down. And basically, we go through every single year. We take the pins down, we put them in a little container, and we see, can we put more pins than what we have in the container the following year? And I know we did that this year. We blew through a bunch of 5-star maps real early in the year. Oops, crap, I went the wrong way. Okay, here we go. Recap of 2017's hail forecast for you guys who forgot, basically. I'm not going to go through and say everything. You guys can read it yourselves. All the red check marks, we pretty much nailed it. The big thing in the southeast, I was hoping we'd have a couple more very major events in the southeast. Didn't quite get there, but still was a very active year. And finally, it was pretty front loaded, especially in the early spring. I know compared to last year, I know a lot of you guys are really itching for some hail, because we had a lot of storms in January and February and very early March, which was very unusual, and we're kind of seeing that happening. And again, it was an very active year, #3 all time. We've been hyping up 2017 for a couple years, so kind of glad that we didn't end up looking like liars. And our bold predictions, this is the fun little thing we do of just, we throw out things that, in terms of like meteorologically, other people in the industry would say we're going out on a limb, we're being pretty bold by saying these types of things, but it worked out for us. We were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we were very, very close to being 6 out of 6, and unfortunately, Oklahoma City was the only one that we didn't get right. A lot of storms real close to Oklahoma City. We got within 50 miles and quite a few of them. We got within like 20 miles on a few of them. We just couldn't get there. And I know a lot of you guys, I know a lot of our base is from Oklahoma, and you felt that sting a little bit. Hopefully, with that, when our forecast comes out here, there's a light at the end of the tunnel for Oklahoma City and getting a big storm this year. End that drought. Now, going on to our current pattern. Right now, we're in a weak to borderline Moderate La Nina, it's currently peaking right now. The polar jet's a lot stronger this year than the subtropical jet, so that should keep the storms this year a lot less wet. And a good way to notice this is if you live in the southern plains, it's been pretty friggin' dry. We have quite the drought forming across the southern and central plains, which was my very next little thing there. So we have, again, quite the drought forming, the polar jet's in place, things aren't as overly moist this time around, and we have a La Nina, which I'm sure a lot of you guys may or may not know what that is, and I'll show you in just a second. We're in a second year La Nina winter. It's in a row, but it's unlike other years. Last year we had a weak La Nina, and it came pretty close to being an El Nino at the beginning, in the middle of the year, and that part of that is kind of why we our hail season seemed to have just shut off. The overall pattern didn't really favor lots of late season storms. And 2018, it's looking like we're having a longer lasting La Nina. It's a lot stronger than last year's. So instead of the first half like last year, now you're probably looking at your computer screen right now, kind of like Tom Cruise in this, and going, what the hell are you talking about? So for those who don't really entirely know, La Nina and El Nino are things that is classifications for what happens in the central Pacific Ocean, and it's basically what is the temperature of the ocean comparatively to normal. These are normal conditions up here at top. You can see a nice mix between warmer water and cooler water. La Nina conditions are when the water right along the equator is much cooler than normal. That's what we're in right now. La Nina typically favors a more active severe weather season. Without getting into too many other details, that the correlation's more or less, you have pretty active severe weather season. El Nino, not as active, possibly because El Nino tends to favor warmer winters, a lot more rain, a lot less clashing of the two air masses that you need for massive severe weather. And this is what we're looking at right now. This is a moving image, a GIF of what the conditions are right now, sea surface temperature wise, across the Pacific Ocean leading up to January 17th. I tried to find one that brought us to this week, but yeah, the internet can be mean sometimes. And you can see we have a pretty good La Nina, and it looks like if you had a couple more frames here, you can see it was really peaking, especially in the east and central parts of the Pacific. So what does this all mean? Well, basically, you want La Nina for big time hail. And what I'm thinking what's going to happen for the spring, there's a 65% chance we'll maintain La Nina at least into May. And that's all we honestly need for a very active severe weather season. You need to have the effects of whatever ENSO pattern to last into at least the first part of spring. There's kind of a hangover, as you will, because the Earth takes a long time to really get things going here for like pattern changes and stuff. You can't, the La Nina can end, but you'll feel the effects of it for a month or two afterwards. Is basically what I'm trying to get a point across here of. Now, is this kind of uncharted territory? That the setup is rather unique, making closer analogs hard to find. But if you saw what I said before, that we had a La Nina that popped out, almost went to El Nino again, back down La Nina. When I looked, we haven't really had that before, so it makes it kind of hard for finding analog years. And for analog years, what we do for our forecast is, since it's so long range, we have to kind of look at what happened before. The weather is cyclical, and things happen. There's a pattern to all the madness. It's organized chaos. That's what I like to say the weather really is. So there are some analog years. Again, we're broadly looking at 1985, 1996, 2001, 2006, 2009. 08, 11, and 12 both show up in kind of sort of vague ways. Again, there were a lot of analogs to choose from. I tried really hard to narrow it down, and also our forecast is factoring on things such as the drought that's going on in the southern plains. We have other oceanic oscillations, basically means other wind flow in the ocean. And finally, obviously, of course, everyone's favorite friend and overly shared things on Facebook, model data. So we're going to quickly go through all these analog years. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. I believe Frank and Matt and Heather are all on the stream as well, and they can answer the questions for you. I'll do a Q&A section at the end. Again, I can only see stuff as it's on my phone. I'm not going to just keep looking at my phone the whole time. So 1985, what was that year? It was a busy year, 2,340 hail reports. Now, you're going to see the that number, you're like, man, that's like nothing. Well, again, with modern technology and people with smartphones, everything, reports are coming a lot more, so it's really inflated compared to 30 years ago. So we basically look at the trend, and it was the busiest year other than 1989, so it was above average year. June 7th, just one, I'm going to mention probably a notable storm in every single one of these. The Greenville, Spartanburg area got 3-inch storm. 3-inch hail in a pretty big storm for that area. The year started off real quiet, and activity started second half of March. Late spring was extremely active, and July was actually the busiest of the 80s, so this was kind of a late bloomer year. 1996 was an analog we had last year as well. It was an active hail season comparatively to the rest of the 90s with 4,811 reports. I think 1999 was the only year that had more reports. May 3rd had a major hailstorm hit Louisville, Kentucky right around the time of the Kentucky Derby. They had up to baseball-sized hail. Now I know that's one hail of a Kentucky Derby. And based on limited information from 1996, it was quite active. Most of the activity happened during the spring. There weren't really any out-of-season outbreaks of this one. It was a kind of textbook run-of-the-mill spring season. 2001, the most notable thing from 2001 was probably one of the most impressive hailstorms ever. On April 10th, we had a hailstorm go from Kansas City all the way down I-70 through Columbia and hitting St. Louis, making it the most damaging hailstorm ever. In terms of just one single city, it was the most damaging for St. Louis up until 2012, when St. Louis topped itself being the most damaging hailstorm of all time. And just an interesting note, the Denver storm from this year could not top either of these two storms. And finally, the fall season was very active with this particular year. We had a high-risk event at the end of October and another tornado outbreak on November 23rd and 24th in the southeast in 2001. In 2006, we had another active hail season, the busiest hail season other than 2008 of the 2000 to 2009 era. April is by far the busiest month. They had major back-to-back outbreaks, and they were primarily in Dixie Alley, which is the Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, that basic area. There were very major outbreaks then, and the winter was somewhere that 2012 or even 2017. They had a few events kind of early, and things got extremely active right out the gate in March and April, but then completely shut off in June, and the fall season was very dead. So again, there are some similarities you're seeing here in these analog years, but again, things are a little all over the place, and that's making our forecast be slightly more challenging than usual. But oh no! All right, guys, 1 second. Is my camera still on? Okay. Camera made a weird noise. Sorry about that. Yeah, we had an average hail season in 2009. February was very active. It was the previous record holder for the most active February up until last year. Oklahoma City and Atlanta had major hail events, which was crazy. It had baseball-sized hail across parts of Oklahoma City, and the Atlanta storm, I believe it was on February 18th, they had a 3 to 4-inch hail, and that storm was probably one of the last really big storms Atlanta's had. 2000 year, another early spring, being quiet, but then the second half of spring was very busy. 2009 was another one of those years where June and July were super busy. It currently holds the busiest July ever, and the fall season in 2009 was dead as well. So our analog takeaways. What we take away from all this information I'm throwing at you guys, all the analog years we've researched were at least above average or very active. We had analogs that all pointed to fairly quiet fall seasons, all but like one exception really. And it's possibly because of the busy hurricane seasons, and quite a few of those. And the analogs that featured droughts in the plains favored the focus of activity more easterly. So areas from basically I-35 points east, the southeast and the Tennessee Valley. It seems like that's where a lot of the activity was. So now, without further ado, I'll get on with it. Well, we'll move forward. We can actually get into the real forecast. The thing you guys have been sitting here listening to me babble on about what to expect for 2018. Well, here's our hail forecast. Compared to 2017, this hail season will be fairly late starting. Probably noticed this already. It's February 1st. We haven't had a high risk. We had a high risk for we had a big time outbreak happen in the southeast in like the third week of January. Didn't happen here. And spoiler alert, looking forward for most of February, with the exception of one or two tiny little events, it looks like February is going to be fairly chilly as well, which means things will become more favorable in March. This season should be more balanced with peak activity lasting, I think, the majority of the spring. I don't think we're going to have the faucet turn off randomly in June. I think we might actually make it to like the 4th of July with a very balanced, active season. And we're going to have most of the activity, I'm expecting, basically from I-35 east to the Carolinas. And overall, 2018 is expected to be an active hail season with above average amounts of hail across the nation. Now, comparatively to last year, I'm not 100% certain what kind of numbers we're going to end up seeing from this. I can see us getting very close to the same numbers that we had in 2017. I could also see that we have numbers a little less in 2017, but more quality storms. I've been saying, I think those of you guys who might have gone to the IMG Expo or wherever else, I'm not 100% sure where Derek was at with this. I said kept telling him quality over quantity. I think we're going to see some more quality storms this year, or just a sheer abundance of storms. I mean, we can get a ton of storms, but it's not a big, no one cares if it's out in the middle of like the woods. So I think we're going to see a little more quality storms this year. Now here's the map that I think a lot of you guys have really been waiting for. You get that nice visual, you can point out exactly where it is. So here for most of the East Coast, heading back towards like the Chicago area, I'm thinking average activity. Last year I said below average, and it was pretty quiet, especially Chicago area was very quiet. And the East Coast, I think the Northeast doesn't typically get a lot of hail, but I think you might see a little more activity there than they had in previous years. I think the Carolinas see a little more activity this year than they did last year. Last year was pretty unusually quiet for most of the Carolinas. You got that one big storm in March, and after that it really kind of shut off. Above average activity, I think places like Minneapolis. Minneapolis got a big storm last year. I think there might be a chance that you guys could see that happen, possibly again. And again, Northern Plains into Iowa and Nebraska. And then on the southern side of Texas, I think you'll see some above average activity as well. Average activity for the Front Range region. I'm sure all you guys in Denver have seen that, like, whoa, what? And I'm like, honestly, Denver just kind of sees storms all the time. Every single year, Denver gets hit with hail, and they're kind of independent from other stuff. So really, average activity just basically means expect what you're going to have every year. I think this year, Denver is going to see a lot more storms, just like volume of storms. Compared to last year, we had that one mega storm, and that was it. I don't think you're going to see anything like that again this year in terms of that one major storm with baseball-sized hail. That I'm sure a lot of you guys who work that area know that's a very unusual type of storm. But I think you'll have more, just a lot more activity than last year in terms of just multiple storms hitting the Denver area, Colorado Springs, up towards Cheyenne, Fort Collins, all that stuff, all along the Front Range. And now here, ooh, some of you guys' hearts probably just sank seeing that one right there. Below average for, I think, Texas Panhandle and western Kansas and western Oklahoma. We got a drought, but we got a drought, and drought's only getting worse. And with drought means really hard to get rain. Without rain, can't get storms. There's no storms happening. So I think we're going to see below average. So now, what does this mean for everywhere else here? A lot of our customer base is in here. What are you seeing for Dallas or Oklahoma City or for St. Louis or even Nashville or maybe Atlanta? Well, I think you guys are probably going to be the most active area this year. I think, I mean, typically activity is pretty higher in that area, but I think it's going to be a very above average year. All it takes is a couple big outbreaks happening, and you can have a real active year across the southeast Mississippi Valley, back towards the southern Central Plains, up towards like Kansas City, St. Louis, and all places like that. Now, I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to grab my phone. Whoa. Is this still going? Okay. I'm going to take a second here, and I'm going to... Is my... this still live? Okay, sorry. My phone was screwing up here. I can answer any questions anybody has about the map. I have my phone in my hand. Go ahead, ask questions. Anything that I have, any questions you have, anything about the cities you expect, anything more specific, I can answer questions right now before moving forward. So let's see here. Can we get to 2018, please? Yeah, I got there. I need to move. Good storm in Florida would be nice. All right. Where's my hell already? All right. So again, if you get any questions in, I'm sure Frank and Heather will go, and I'll answer questions at the end as well. Now, why did I have it so there's going to be below average in a section of our forecast here? Well, it's basically what the dry line is going to do. The southern central plains, people who live in these areas, they know that the dry line is the major factor of like big time storms. So the past couple of years, we've had very dry air in the desert, and we've had ample Gulf moisture all the way across places like Texas and Oklahoma and everything. Lots of moisture moving up, and we had lots of rain. We killed a drought in 2015, so everything was very moist. So we kept things to have big time storms. And what that caused is to keep the dry line way back by the Texas-New Mexico border. Was not really that many people there. Amarillo got a couple of decent storms, but overall, you're getting stuff hitting nothing but the high plains. So most of the hailstorms happened in this general area. And that kind of makes a dent in what people come to expect. You see, you know, big time hailstorms happening in like Dodge City, but places like Wichita get left out like last year. This year's forecast, we already have very dry drought air in place across most of the high plains and into western Oklahoma. A more severe drought is developing, and it's going to continue to develop and strengthen and get worse as we move towards the spring. We have ample moisture now further off. Right now, it's a lot further off to the east of Oklahoma. It's probably more like right around in here. And so if you live in Oklahoma, you see you have these cold fronts move through. It's 70 like yesterday. It's in the 40s today. And you see a couple clouds go by when the cold front comes through and a gust of wind. And then all this rain forms way off to the east. You see in like Dallas, you get some showers, and then like Little Rock and Memphis and all those areas get lots of rain. Well, I think that's going to cause now a lot more hailstorms are going to be happening a lot along the I-35 corridor, and that means better hail and quality over quantity. Big time hail happening in that area. So our probabilities over storm season, below average, I'm pretty confident. I think it was only a 5% chance that we whiff on this real bad and we have a below average hail season. 20% chance for an average season, and I'm pretty confident we're having an above average season this year, 75% chance of that happening. And now onto our bold predictions. We did pretty good last year. Let's see what they have this year. I think we'll have a high-end severe weather event that actually verifies the high-risk category. For those of you guys who pay attention to what the Storm Prediction Center has, you have the different levels of what they expect for severe weather. High risk is they're very confident there's going to be a big outbreak. I think this year we're going to probably see a high risk that actually verifies that we have a big outbreak. Unfortunately, that means on the flip side, when there's hail, there's usually tornadoes. I think there's going to be quite a bit of tornadoes and a couple pretty potent outbreaks this year. And another just personal bold prediction, I think we'll break this drought of no EF5 tornadoes the past few years. I think we might see an EF5 tornado somewhere across the country this spring. The I-35 corridor will be hit with a major hailstorm in an area other than the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. You guys have been getting tons of them, but also I think the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is going to get a big storm this year, at least one of them. For those of you who pay close attention to what goes on in the past 18 years, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex has been hit with a major hailstorm 16 out of the 18 of them. One of those years where they didn't get hit was 2015. The other one was it was like the early 2000s. So I got pretty good batting average for the Dallas area. I think you guys are going to get hit with at least one pretty good storm this spring, probably in the second half of March into April. And for the cities, I think we'll get big hail this year. I'm keeping Oklahoma City on there. Like I'm just keeping Oklahoma City on there until they get hit. They're gonna get hit. Their time has they're running out. Like we're working with numbers that you usually get hit every couple of years, and it's been a while now since Oklahoma City's had a big one. I think Nashville might get a big hit this year. If you guys watched our other videos, you saw that was my pick for our first 5-star map of the year. I think Nashville things are setting up so the Middle Tennessee has a pretty good shot at getting a big hailstorm. I think Kansas City will get a really big hailstorm this year, and I also think Chicago. I think they're due for another big hailstorm in the Chicago area. I'm fudging a little bit since the Chicago Metro is huge, but I'm pretty sure we might get one, and I think some of you guys might say it's a pretty bold strategy. So that is more or less our forecast. And if you guys have any more other questions, comments, questions, or concerns, I hope you shared this video. If you missed it live, it will be streaming, will be record it and you can watch it on Facebook. I believe Derek will probably boost the post, and you'll see it all over the place on your news feed for the next couple days. We had over 100 people in here watching live. That's pretty good. All right, let's go through some questions. Can you move those storms a little left, please? We predict it and we record it. I wish we could control it. Let's see. What part of March do you think it'll kick off? I actually have another graphic for that right here. We're looking ahead, and this, all this basically is, this is called the European Model Weekly. So every week the models give out pretty vague looking colored blobs, and we have this is looking ahead to the first week of March, and you can see specifically this blue blob here. That is early signs of a pattern changing away from this winter towards more favorable storms. There's a couple other factors we have in there, such as I believe there's other factors in there that I'm not going to get into right now, but it's looking like right now, as of February 1st, about a month from now, it looks like things may be making a turn for the more active, especially in a good chunk of our red area in the Dixie Valley, up towards possibly as far north as Ohio Valley, and then down into the southeast. I think it's something to keep an eye on, and we obviously will update you about it as we get a lot closer. But right now, in the earliest signs, I think things may kick off possibly right away in March, and if not, it might delay a week or two. So I think within the first couple weeks of March, we're going to probably see some stuff kick off. Okay.
So you have to address questions because I can't reply to them.
You can't reply?
No, you can only like or pin a comment. So.
Oh, that's stupid. Not on like the Hail Trace one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, sorry, Frank was just notifying me. All right, let's see. Moving forward, Houston. I think Houston's best chances are going to probably be up until about the end of April. I think a lot of these early storms, if they can kick out and not be so loaded with moisture, you can probably see a decent storm. Derek's pick for the first 5-star map of the year, I think, will be Houston. And honestly, I could kind of agree with that. If all it takes is one decent little storm to move through Houston, and we can see. They haven't had a good storm since 2016. Yeah, 2016 January. So I believe that it is possible for Houston this year. Okay, moving forward. All right, what are chances of hail in Omaha, Nebraska? I think Omaha is looking pretty good this year. Again, with the way the drought moving all the way up north, I think storms are going to be firing closer to Grand Island this time, the North Platte. And that gives Omaha a much better chance of seeing big storms. I know you guys had a pretty blockbuster storm last year. I don't know if you can go 2 for 2 in a row, but I think the Omaha and Lincoln area has a better than normal chance of seeing storms this year. Moving forward, Ohio. Yes, Ohio has not had really good storms in a while. I think if we have patterns like this set up, they may see better storms this year. Again, a lot of our analogs have places like Ohio and everything like that have more storms. And again, it's just been a while. So eventually just the numbers kind of played into fact where, you know, your luck's going to run out at some point and you're going to get big hail. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm going to pop back up to, let me just bring back the map. 1 second. So this way you guys can just kind of look at the map as I'm answering questions. Okay, and I'll step over here to the west coast where it doesn't hail. All right, about Houston. What's the Panhandle of Florida look like? I think Panhandle of Florida is a little challenging for you guys to get hail. Again, it's just going to come down if you get some big outbreaks in the southeast, which I think there will be. If we can get a couple storms to hit like Tallahassee and stuff, that'd be great. But I think expect a fairly average year for most of the Panhandle of Florida. What's your thoughts on central and eastern Kentucky? I think it'll be pretty active. Again, I think anywhere in this red area, I'm expecting it to be an active year. Now, I can't say specifically if a city is going to hit. That's basically trying to find a needle in a haystack while you're blindfolded and passed out. Like, it's very hard to say that right now, one tiny little point months in advance. But I think the general area, I think Kentucky will see more storms than normal this year. All right, Austin or Houston? I think again, I think Austin, you're right around that I-35 corridor, and Austin hasn't been hit in a long time either. I think your chances of storms are higher than they've been in previous years this spring. And again, Austin, typically it'd probably be in March. Your best chances usually are March, early April, before things start to get too hot and move too far north for you guys. So we'll just kind of got to see what happens in those first couple months. All right. All right. What is your long shot pick of the year? Well, that's a good question. So I'm guessing that's going to be what city. I'm going to say, what do I think will probably, let's see if you can correct me if you want, Dustin, the long shot pick, you mean like what city I think might get something and it's not expected, or what city do I think has like almost no chance of seeing big hail? Just put it in the comments and I'll answer that again. Will Omaha get hail this year? Your chances are pretty good. Panhandle, all right. Nebraska, okay. Akron, Ohio, to be specific. I can't answer specifics to like Akron. Again, I think there's going to be activity in Ohio this year again, and it's just a matter of can it hit, you know, the pinpoint. Birmingham, Alabama. I think Alabama will be quite active again this year, similar to last year. I think it's very possible that those big setups that you guys saw in Alabama last year might actually have like a more severe setup where it will verify instead of kind of bust and be a lot of rain. St. Louis, yeah, St. Louis, again, you're in my most active area. I think it will be very active across the St. Louis area. I can't, again, this is no guarantees on a big time storm or anything. I'm just saying there will be activity. I think there'll be increased activity happening in these areas. Hail chances in Atlanta. Atlanta's our Moby Dick at this point in terms of big time storms. We keep thinking that Atlanta might be getting hit, and this year, we're rolling the dice. We'll see if it happens. Again, a pattern like this can favor Atlanta getting hit with a big time storm, but that, again, if you're in the Atlanta area, you know that's frustrating sometimes. Those big time storms go off in the west and Alabama or Tennessee or Mississippi, and then they get to Georgia and it's just rain. So I think just Atlanta's luck is going to run out eventually, and I'm pretty sure they'll probably see something this year. Last year they didn't really see anything, so I think there'll at least be a decent storm. I don't know if there'll be a giant storm, but I think you might at least see some activity. Let's see. I answered about Austin, Central Texas, hail chances in Chattanooga. I think you guys are. It's going to be another active year again. In terms of just like cities getting hit, especially in the southeast, you just want more chances of it happening. As if there's more setups, there's a better probability of you guys getting hit. And I think there's going to be a lot of activity, a lot of events happening in these in the states I have in red. So I think yes, Chattanooga, your chances are going to be higher than what they've been in the past. I think probably similar to what it was last year, where there were big time storms. I know Cleveland, Tennessee was one that got hit. You just move that a little further to the south and west, and maybe we got a big storm in Chattanooga. So, okay. Idaho Panhandle, San Antonio. The Idaho Panhandle, I think, yeah, I don't have anything here in the west, mainly because stuff out back here is kind of random. Idaho always seems to surprise me every single year. Seem to just kind of squeeze out some storms in May, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens again. So I don't know. Big time, like really big time storms out west are fairly rare, and those typically are my my long shot predictions. So anything's possible. 2010, the busiest storm of the year was Phoenix, Arizona. So again, anything's possible with the stuff like that. But I think every year Idaho gets some storms, and I think that will continue again this year. Tulsa. Tulsa's another Moby Dick situation. The pattern this year is favoring a lot more. That dry line moves a lot further east. Before things move back towards Oklahoma City, say in like the early spring, that dry line will be closer to Tulsa. So if we can just get a system that'll have that dry line slow down right outside of Tulsa, just to the west of it, then yeah, Tulsa might actually have a pretty good chance of getting hit with this year. I think Tulsa has a better chance this year than they've had in previous years, especially with the way the dry line was way back near New Mexico. So I think this year is probably the best chance Tulsa's going to have in quite a few years. I know for a lot of you guys it's been like almost 10 years since the really big storms happened there, so that's just another situation of your luck's going to run out eventually. All right. You think we'll see? You think we will see good-sized hail for 3 hours from Atlanta? 3 hours to the west, yeah, probably. 3 hours to the east, maybe. Like, I think 3 hours to the east, we're in South Carolina, and the Carolinas tend to have some stuff go on pretty regularly as well. All right, Lower Alabama, Georgia, all those same story, different area basically. I think there's going to be quite a few events that impact the southeast and anywhere in my red. So I think basically we're going to see a bunch of events. So it just comes down to, can they hit anything? And if they do, big time storms. And I think just again, higher amount of chances means you have a better chance of seeing big time storms. OKC on a 1 to 10, 10 being the best. Probably about like a 7, 8. Pretty like for your chances of seeing hail. If we get if we have a setup similar to how 2013 went, then there you go. We have a pretty busy year. So if we can if the dry line sets up like just west of El Reno, then Oklahoma City might get popped quite a few times. And again, I think for Oklahoma City specifically, it's going to be like April, May. So we may have to wait a little while here. Let's see. Springfield, Missouri is always a long shot, 15 years plus without a major storm. This is true. Yeah, Springfield, Missouri seems, again, there's certain cities that just seem to have been really, really lucky. And we just honestly kind of got to see how things go this year. I think the Joplin area might have a little bit better chance of seeing big storms than Springfield. Again, if we just keep getting events, eventually Springfield's luck will run out. All right, Phoenix, I want to go home. Let's see, New Orleans. New Orleans, if New Orleans gets anything, it'll be very early season, so it'd probably be if you don't get anything by April 15th, your chances are over. New Orleans is another area that's kind of hard to hit. You're really far south. The closer you get to the Gulf, when you're like right along the coast, like even Houston sees this sometimes, right along the coast, you get a lot of just moisture in the area, and that really gets going. Let's see, Denver will be hit this year. Denver is hit every year, so you'll get a good storm in Denver this year. It won't, I guarantee you, it won't be as good as the storm that happened this year in 2017. Baseballs do not happen in Denver very often, but I think more your high volume up to golf ball to 2-inch size hail variety, I think we'll see 1 or 2 of those this year for sure. St. Louis, I think St. Louis, you might get a better hit this year than you did last year. It just kind of scraped the city both times that happened. I think this year might get more storms in the area again. Again, a lot of similarities to 2017 forecast. So I think St. Louis will get hit again this year. Oh man, did my camera die? No. Okay. Okay. The camera keeps making. Sorry, guys. My camera keeps making noises sometimes, so I'm scared the battery's dying, but it's still going. Okay. All right. Where do you think we will see a major tornado? Probably somewhere in the red area on my map. Chances of Atlanta seeing hail 1 to 10, 10 being best. I give it about a 5, 50-50. When will we start seeing hail this year? I believe in terms of any sort of major hail happening, I think we'll have to wait probably till March unless something can surprise us in February. I know Tuesday there's an outside chance we might see a couple little storms going on in like Alabama, but I would not hype that up right now. I think it's going to be very marginal at best. Okay. Memphis, hail. Yeah, I made that comment in the What the Hell group. Memphis, Tennessee. I know Memphis is not one of those cities that seems to kind of skirt away from storms. I think it's possible you could see some decent storms this year as well. Again, just kind of repeat what I said about the most active area. I think there's going to be quite a few events, and it's just a matter of getting one of those storms to go over the specific point. What is best month for Eastern Tennessee? I'd say probably March, second half of March, unless you get something right at the beginning. So I'd say most likely just March through the first week or 2 of May. Florida. All right. Florida is an interesting little beast as well. A lot of the storms that happen in Florida, especially in the peninsula of Florida, happen just because of a sea breeze and some cold air aloft. I think that will be a possibility. La Nina typically favors pretty chilly air in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which usually causes more hail. And so I think Florida is one of those wild cards that it's possible. Whether or not it actually hits one of the coastal cities remains to be seen. I think Orlando might squeak out a halfway decent storm, though. Okay. What about Phoenix or out west tuned in late? Okay. Again, Mountain West is kind of a wild card. Typically, areas like down here by like El Paso and Albuquerque and stuff like that, you see storms more in El Nino years, so I think you guys will be pretty quiet. In terms of Phoenix, it just comes down to if we get some crazy stuff happening in monsoon season, you might see a storm. Phoenix, it's very rare to see a big-time hailstorm like you guys saw in 2010, but I would not be surprised if Arizona sees a couple halfway decent storms in like September, October range. All right. Any other questions anybody has? I'm here to answer them, and if not, I'll move forward. And you can post them in the comments section below, and I will try to go through the rest of today and answer any other questions. Also, if any of you guys have suggestions for other videos you want us to see, feel free to put those in the comments below as well. We are going to be broadcasting every single day at noon. It's on Monday through Friday right now at least, and then when storm season gets a little bit closer and you see, like, we see an event coming, I'll start broadcasting on the weekends as well. But right now when it's dead, I'm not going to come up to the office on weekends. But every single day at noon we'll be doing a forecast. Every single day at noon we'll be doing a video of some sort of content until we can actually start doing forecasts outside of just it's cold today. So we'll do forecasts, and then when storm season really gets going, we'll be doing 2 broadcasts a day of noon and 5 p.m. live just like this, and we will be on Facebook and on our website and hopefully on our app at some point, but in storm season. And we'll be doing live broadcasting whenever any major storms are occurring as well. So you'll probably be seeing a lot of my face and Derek's face and possibly even Frank's face during the storm season this year. And let's see what else we got going on here. I'm going to skip forward to the end where I hope you guys have, if you are a subscriber of Hailtrace, and even if you aren't and you're new here, download our app at the App Store on Google Play and go into the notification settings and get your notifications set up. Those of you guys who are clients have had our texting service for the past 2 years. We are phasing out of texting and moving into our apps. We're already in the app service of just sending push notifications, so you need to go onto the notification options on your dashboard and click on the notification settings. You can select your regions or your states, or do you just want all the states? It's a ton of stuff, and for the cities it's within like 85 miles of the city, so you want alerts for golf ball size hail or larger and intersections that are happening at, when that's happening. When we have 2-star maps or better available for purchase and to be viewed if you have a subscription, and also when we are mapping storms, so when we begin mapping in like the Dallas area, for example, just saying we're mapping the Dallas area or mapping in Oklahoma or whatnot. And of course we will push forward notifications when we're live as well, so you can watch us when there's a big time storm happening. And finally, set up the way you want those notifications so you can get them emailed to you, get them as a push notification on your phone, or you can have them show up on your desktop computer, show up in the bottom right hand corner saying, hey, we got whatever the notification is. And also, finally, be sure to follow our posts here on Facebook. I'm sure a lot of you guys already liked our page. Go make sure you follow and see us first, so we show up at the top of your news feed. You can see my face every single day as soon as you go on Facebook. You can see our forecast. You can see when we have any other posts, such as like when we have a storm, when we have a map available for purchase, where we have other graphics, or just any other posts that we have here on our Hailtrace page for you guys to see, so you don't miss anything because of Facebook changing their algorithm. Let's see, is there anything else? Also, please share this video with everybody. Get the word out there. We try to make this a little bit bigger every single year. A lot of you guys who are followers from Oklahoma came down to our First Look event a couple weeks ago, and next year I think we'll be pushing that a little further. We won't be in just Oklahoma anymore. We may move to multiple locations as well. Obviously, more details on that in probably towards the end of storm season, for when we think gets things set up for the 2019 hail forecast. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope I didn't babble on a little too long before getting to the forecast. And again, any other questions anybody has, I can answer them right now quickly before I go off. And if you're watching this after the fact, feel free to put in comments, questions, or concerns you may have. And make sure you like, heart, subscribe. You know the gist of all that stuff. Please do that for our pages here. And anybody or questions, well, Mid-Atlantic will start seeing activity probably later on, such as time like after June. Mid-Atlantic, or after May, Mid-Atlantic is going to be like a little bit busier in places like New Jersey and Pennsylvania and stuff like that, especially eastern Pennsylvania. It's going to be like June, July. And would Memphis have another Super Tuesday tornado outbreak? It is possible. New York, you're going to see activity probably May afterwards. Any other? Dallas and surrounding areas, could we expect a few decent storms? Yes, I believe we can. And that's whoop. Well, it looks like my camera died, guys. So, and with that, I am ending this broadcast. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday, and tune in every day at 12 p.m. Central Time.